Jenni is my empowered mom who we connected back in, what was it, December, early December?
Yeah, I think it was November or December.
Yeah, I remember because I was on a summit at the time for a virtual coach, and I had seen your message about how you'd had this terrible traumatic birth and in Abbotsford, and I'm like, yeah, now I have to tell you that this hospital sucks and that this is very common. And I knew the resources to give you, but Jenni, can you tell people a little bit about your journey, just like the short version? Because I know you've shared before.
Yeah, so um, it was COVID times, and during my pregnancy, I had basically zero support. Like nothing was running. The health unit was shut down for months and months and months. There were no parenting groups, there were no prenatal groups, there were no classes. If there were, they were online and I didn't know how to access them. Um, and I thought that I was doing a good job. Like I was reading all the books and researching as much as I could. I was watching birth vlogs on YouTube, which often ended up in cesarean sections. And I had been warned against the hospital that I was planning on going to by multiple people, by doulas, by even midwives. Um, but I didn't realize how prevalent birth trauma is, and I didn't know how prevalent mistreatment in the hospital is. I just knew that my care provider wasn't very supportive. My appointments with him were 5 minutes long. Um, so all in all, he probably only spent 20 minutes with me if you add it all up. Um, so then I went to the hospital, and my experience in the hospital was nothing like what I had been taught it was going to be. And actually, what I learned was I hadn't been taught anything about birthing in the hospital. I'd been taught about physiological birth, which is not what I experienced at all. And so I had a failed induction. And then I went into labor on my own, and then I had failed augmentation, and then the Pitocin felt like torture. It was so horrible, and like my sister loves Pitocin, and she's like, I wouldn't birth without it. And I was like, what is this stuff? Like I had a really adverse reaction to it. It's now listed as an allergy in my file. And so I ended up with a C-section. It was very traumatic. It was unexpected. It felt like being run over by a truck and handed a baby. And I was mistreated by hospital staff, by more than one hospital staff. So that was really traumatizing. After my birth experience, I was not functional at all. I was getting triggered constantly, on top of dealing with the hormones, on top of dealing with a newborn who had all kinds of her own issues. She had issues with breastfeeding. She had tongue tie and lip tie. She had colic. She had reflux. She wasn't sleeping, and it was like a vicious cycle. And I wasn't sleeping either. And basically anything that anyone said that was related to birth was very triggering for me. Taking a shower was really hard because it was the only time when I was by myself with my thoughts. So I was in survival mode back then. And I reached out to I call them the mom hive, and just said, hey, like if birth trauma is so prevalent, why are there zero resources? Like there's just nothing out there. Like, does anyone know anything? Can anyone get me help? And that's when I think you commented and said, DM me. And then I DM'd you and you're like, hey, here's a whole bunch of resources.
Yeah, I mean the reason for the DM too was because it's like if I went in there and I told you like in the public thing, Abbotsford Regional Hospital sucks and this is what they do and yeah, I'm so sorry this happened to you and here's all these resources. I knew what was going to happen because I've seen it before. It's like all of a sudden people would jump in, the mom hive would swarm. How dare you say that about the hospital? They're doing their
Yeah,
best. I'm like,
it's brutal.
it's like Jenni does not need this. Jenni needs somebody who can actually give her a safe space right now. And that mom hive is like, it's a hornet's nest.
Yeah,
You shake that hornet's nest, and all of a sudden, all the hornets are coming out.
yeah,
So it's like, I need you in the DMs. We need to talk.
yeah.
Like, I need to tell you the truth here. And it's not pretty. But yeah, I mean, it was.
So the first thing that you did for me was you helped me get a really good sleep consultant. I actually messaged her on New Year's Day and she replied. And so then she got me sleeping pretty fast. I think it was about 2 months. Yeah, it was like March. And my baby was sleeping 12 hours at night with no feeds. And I got to have my life back a little bit. And like that really helped with anxiety. Like I had really bad anxiety from the not sleeping. And then I was finally in a place where I felt like, okay, I can actually deal with my trauma now. And then I reached out to you again, and you helped me find a really good therapist who does EMDR therapy. And I could not believe how well that worked. I had exactly 4 sessions with her. The first one was just get to know each other. The second one was just like prep for the EMDR, and then I only needed 2 sessions of the EMDR, and then I was done. I haven't had a single trigger since then. And like now it's November. That was back in March. So like that was amazing. That helped me so much. Like just you doing those 2 things for me brought me back to being like a healthy, functioning person. But back in March, if you had asked me if I was going to have more kids, I would have said, no way, that is not happening. That's not a conversation that we're even going to talk about. And also, even though I was a mom, I felt like I didn't know anything about birth. I didn't know anything because what I had experienced was not birth, or at least not what birth is supposed to be. So then after that, you started up your classes and I joined your class, and that was April, I believe.
Yes, it was April because our sleep consultant was also telling me, it's like, like you have a gift here and you need to do this. And I'm like, okay. And then Jenni, you were also telling me it's about all the things that you wish that you had learned.
Yeah, I made a really huge document and said, Carly, this is what I want to learn about.
You totally did. And when you gave that to me, I'm like, holy crap.
This is all the things that the books did not tell me.
Yeah, everything the book did not tell you, including the cesarean and recovery and postpartum and going through pregnancy. Like, no stone unturned. You pulled it all out. You handed it to me, and you're like, "I'm very, very sorry that I dumped all this on you, but hopefully you can go through it." And I mean, I've gotten my revenge now with my book. It's like, here, Jenni, have my book.
Yeah.
That I've been working on for over a year. So I mean, we're even now. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome because you were able to tell me exactly what you wanted, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is exactly what I want to teach. So this is perfect. And then we kind of built that together in the sense that you became my admin, and you got to learn directly from me. But I mean, inside of our actual class where we brought in your friend Lisa, and then now we've also worked with Rebecca, and we're just like this one big happy family sisterhood. It's awesome. But so you told me before, I'm never having kids again. Like, I just want to help other moms. And I said, that's cool. I totally get that. What you went through sucked, and I don't blame you. And Pitocin is something you are allergic to, and it makes you punch people in the face.
Yeah. That's the yeah. Yeah.
That's my favorite quote from you, by the way. Out of all the messengers, like it's a good thing that I wasn't drinking water at the time that we were typing, and you said that that was what you were going to put in. And I'm like, oh man. But yeah, it was just that idea that we created this right support, and we helped Lisa and we helped Rebecca, and inadvertently, because you were also getting that information, like we've talked about everything from preeclampsia to planned induction to our periods and how they work.
Yeah.
So
Which
I mean,
it's so crazy that we don't know, like we don't know that.
well, we even talked a little bit about perimenopause and menopause, didn't we?
Yeah.
We're going through Jane Hardwick Collins came up with it, and then Rachel Reed wrote about it. So like it's both of them together, basically, collective mindset. But we were like, whoa, I can't wait to get old.
Yeah, we can't wait for menopause now.
Well, I want more babies first, so yeah. I'm not in a hurry. Yeah. And now this is the thing, is that what happened as you've been learning more about physiological birth and what's possible for you?
So throughout, I guess it only took 2 months of being in that class. And well, originally the class was only going to be 12 weeks or something.
Yeah, it was going to be 12 weeks, and then we were going to start it over again. And then we realized that the curriculum wasn't going to work because we had so many questions outside of it. And so it became more of a Socratic method of you come in, you ask whatever you want, and we just learn whatever for that week.
Yeah, so by the end of the 12 weeks, I was then in a position where I felt confident. I no longer felt scared to do it again. And I felt ready to try for another baby at that point. And originally I was planning to do it in February of next year. But I felt so confident that we moved up our timeline, and we've been trying since August now.
Oh, so excited for you.
But also, like, I feel so much more empowered in my motherhood too. Like, I had to bring my daughter to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician sucked so bad. Like, he was really dismissive of me. Like, he didn't even bother to learn my name. He wrote down that my name was Mom. Like,
what? You didn't tell me that. He wrote your name as Mom? What the hell kind of backwards ass patriarchal bullshit is that?
Anyway, it was so rude, and I was so upset afterwards because he was like talking to me like I was an idiot, and like it was just really awful. And afterwards I was like, you know what, this is not okay. Like, first of all, you need informed consent before you start like, what's it called, like when you like before you touch a person, you need consent, right?
Yeah.
Even when you're a doctor, like that's not okay. It's not okay to be disrespectful to your patient. It's not okay to treat them like they're dumb just because they don't know something. So I wrote him a letter, and I am very happy to not recommend him to anyone who asks about pediatricians around here.
I love it. I wrote him a letter and I'm happy to not recommend him. I love you so
I
much.
ended the letter by saying that I will not recommend him to anyone asking about pediatricians. And I went back to my doctor and I said, can you please put on my file that my daughter is not to go see him again? Thank you very much.
Go you. Look how empowered you are. But I mean, that's not the only letter you've written this year.
No, it's not. So I also wrote a complaint letter. I spent months and months writing it and made it pretty good. Like, if I do say so myself, I'm pretty proud
good.
of it. I feel like it's quite compelling. It was 14 pages, I think, by the end. And I'm not afraid that they're not going to read it because it was very well written. And I submitted that to the health authority and to the College of Physicians and to the College of Nurses and Midwives.
Mm-hmm. And what happened? How fast did you get a response?
It was, I believe they have 10 days to respond. So they responded right away. I had a very good conversation with the people at the health authority. I had a very good conversation with the people from the nurses college. And I got a letter in the mail from the College of Physicians. They are less willing to work with people. But anyway, I feel very hopeful about what the outcome is going to be. They have until April to resolve it. So
I was just really impressed with how you wrote it.
But the plan is for the person from, it's called patient care quality office or patient quality.
I think it's patient care or patient quality. It depends on where you go to because it's different in different health authorities, as we've learned from watching and talking with Connie on our Tuesday night meetings. So it really depends, and their titles all change.
Yeah.
But basically what they do is the same.
Yeah, so the person who is in charge of my case, his plan is to set up a meeting with me and the head of obstetrics at the hospital, and he's going to have a lot to answer for.
Nice.
And I can't wait to have that meeting.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited. I don't suppose you could get a hidden camera in there so I could be a fly on the wall.
Maybe I can invite you and just say you're my support person.
Well, if we could do it through Zoom, we could probably do that. I mean, I'm not in Abbotsford anymore, so it's
I mean, it might be a Zoom meeting with the way things are going.
That would work. Then I can really hold them accountable.
Yeah.
I got the backing of the entire midwife and doula community now.
Yeah.
Things are happening, but Jenni, I mean, look how far you've come. Because it's November now.
Yeah.
And I found you either at the end of November or beginning of December. It was one of the two. And where you were then to where you are now. I mean, look, you're like this glowing, powerful, empowered mom who is writing letters to doctors and telling them you're not going to recommend them to anybody. Like you are killing it, woman. Like absolutely killing it. And like from what you experienced too, like that was horrible what happened to you.
Yeah.
And like hearing you say like that, I did those two things. I did those two small things that seemed so small to me. It's like, okay, here, talk to my friend Sam. Oh, here, talk to my former therapist for birth trauma who I've been referring people to. That was very easy for me to do because I already had those resources, but it was everything for you.
Yeah. Oh, I also set up a support group for people who are birth trauma survivors as well.
Yes, you did. That's right. That was another thing that you were like, so I just did this thing and I took a look and I'm like, Okay, so the person who was not wanting to do anything to birth, I mean, I remember back in December, you even said that, like, I can't really be in the Empowered Moms group for very much because it's starting to make me sad. And I'm like, it hurt my heart because I'm like, I just wanted to hug you
Yeah,
and I couldn't because stupid COVID.
yeah. Positive
But
birth stories were really triggering back then.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And that was my thing. It's like, hey, if you need some time, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I get it. And you can come back anytime. And then you did. You sent me a message in January and you said, hey, I'm thinking about getting some support in the next little while. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I sent you the message and showed you where to go. And then you told me in March that you finally had gone and that you were doing better. And I'm like, okay, good. She actually did do that. And I mean, from that point on, like we've just developed our friendship organically. Like it's not even like I've got you as my client, but also as my best friend and as my admin. And it's just like this is just amazing how this turned out. But I mean, I have to tell you, you really inspired me, Jenni, because I just kept remembering what you said. Carly, how do I hire you?
Yeah, because you said you had a website, and I went to it. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I pay you money?
You don't. You don't. You just read my blog, and I help you for free. Because I didn't know what I was doing was actually so valuable that, and you're like, no, this is stupid. Carly, how do I pay you? How do I hire you? You need to teach classes. Here's what I want to learn.
And I want to read your book.
Yes, well, you got my book, and it's not done. Like Jenni has my rough draft that I wrote last year before I had managed to figure out what I actually had with the 5 pillars of empowerment. So, like, my system really developed and got better after we created the workshop, the first one, and then kept going from there. So Jenni's got a mess to read.
It's okay.
She's got a mess to read. The book is not done, not by a long shot, but I've got Jenni looking at it, and we'll make sure that it's good. So when it's out, you'll get a discount. All of you who have been following me, you will get a discount on the book and possibly even some extra goodies. So we will announce when that's actually ready. But I mean, Jenni,
you should have t-shirts that we can buy.
T-shirts.
Yes.
That would be fun because, evidence-based birth has that. And so does Birth Monopoly. And Improving Birth we need t-shirts.
Improving Birth has it too now.
Well, Improving Birth had them first.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually have, if you look into my old pictures, like I'm not sure if I have this, it's probably buried deep in my archives, but it might be inside of my profile pictures on my actual Facebook. Hunter is wearing an Improving Birth shirt, and he's like 15 months old. He's wearing an Improving Birth shirt. And that picture where I'm holding up a sign and I'm like, and it's like taking my power back, no permission needed. And I have the t-shirt the next year with Michaela. That shirt was also from Improving Birth. So it was like she took her power back, no permission needed. I don't have that shirt anymore. It burned it in the fire.
Oh.
But I do have another one. I had one from a site that's no longer around called Birth Anarchy. I could probably find it in the Wayback features because I can find anything if I use magic. But the thing is that one said, can't regulate this evil vagina magic.
Evil vagina magic.
Yes, evil vagina magic. It was the idea that patriarchy is scared of us, and that's why they say that we have evil vagina magic, and that's why they try to control our birth outcomes, because they know how magical and powerful we are. But yeah, no, I was thinking maybe we do a t-shirt that says, I'm allergic to Pitocin, it makes me punch you in the face. Put in the if you think that would be a good t-shirt slogan, because honestly, like, I just was in the Facebook group. Jenni, I'm not sure if you were in this one too, but this mom was saying, she had a picture, she's like, Pitocin is the worst, and everybody was agreeing with her that it was like the devil and it was made in the fires of hell. And like, there was just, it went on for like several pages of comments of just how awful Pitocin is, how much they hate it. And I'm like, yeah, Jenni needs to be here to say that she's so allergic to it that she punches people in the face.
Well, the person who accidentally created Pitocin even said this is a dangerous drug and it should not be used.
Mm-hmm. And then somebody else said, hey, we can use this to control birth in women.
Yeah, and like they were completely forthright about that, their intention. And everyone went along with it.
Well, the thing is, I think that was one of the articles that was in French, because I remember Sam told me about that. And of course, she gets to speak French. And she was saying that. I'm like, hey, I never saw that one. And she's like, well, that one's in French. But she did share, I'm pretty sure she shared that on the video that she did in December. So if you want, you can go into the guide section with the induction, and you can actually see the interview with Sam, the bee baby mom, and she talks about induction and Pitocin and why you don't really want to introduce that into your birth if you don't have any need for it. And not progressing is not a need for it.
That was the interview that got me connected with basically everything.
Right. That's right. That is the first time that we really introduced Sam, and she was running her seminar.
Yeah. And also I found out that you were doing a live stream every Thursday at 4, and I put it in my phone. I put an alarm in my phone so I wouldn't miss any of your streams.
Jenni, you're just the best. You are so good for my ego. Like, seriously, you're so good for my ego. And it's like, I don't always recognize it. And of course, there's personality types too. I'm also very big into psychology, as you know, like with the mindset. And Jenni, you're into psychology too. But I was listening to something about INFJs again, because I can't get enough of personality types, and saying how we really have that inferiority complex where we don't think we're special. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're amazing. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to hide in my corner over here. So, I mean, Jenni, like, you're so good for me, because otherwise these empowered birth workshops would not exist. I would still be hiding in the corner being like, oh no, I can't do that. We wouldn't have our Take Charge of Birth program. And I mean, what have we done? Like, can you talk a little bit about the mindset that we go into when we're really helping each other through this?
Well, first, I was going to say, I'm glad you're not hiding anymore, because like, we need you. Like, the world needs you so badly. And like, you've helped so many people because of this. And you've helped me so much, like, just like we just talked about. But yeah, like, mindset is really important, because if you are hiding in a corner and thinking that, you know, you're not worthy, or like you're not good enough, or it's not worth it, or, you know, even like, oh, I'm trying to do this thing and it's not working, so I'm just gonna give up. Like, you're never gonna accomplish anything in your life when you're thinking about that. And we see a lot of moms, like, in the groups on Facebook, and they're like, oh, especially in the trauma groups, a lot of moms believing that they can't do it, there's something wrong with their body, they can't give birth, their pelvis is too small, and like, this lies. They're all lies. Or like, you know, because of evolution, our pelvises are too small and our heads are too big, and like, it's a fallacy. Like, I learned that as a kid from National Geographic TV. Like,
Same.
that, they taught it like it was science. It was not science. It was a story that they made up to like excuse the behavior of the obese.
Well, I mean, science also once like said that women can't have orgasms.
See,
So
like, was that on National Geographic?
I don't know if it was or not, but I do remember that there were like studies where they said, oh, women don't really have orgasms, women don't enjoy sex. And I'm like, okay, well, with all the arranged marriages and the fact that like they had like old dudes marrying young women who didn't know anything about sex, I mean, yeah, we're not going to enjoy it if all you're going to do is jackhammer.
Yeah. But anyway, like we get told all these stories and
Mm-hmm.
these lies really about us and about our bodies, and then we believe it. And then things like what happened to me happen to women, and they get told, oh, your pelvis is too small and that's why your baby didn't come out, or your baby was too big, or like you can't do it. Like they blame the women, they tell them that it's their fault, and like constantly, even in social media, like in the media.
Well, that's what they
um,
do with the C-section rate. They say it's because we're older, we're heavier, and we're less healthy.
yeah, like I just watched something the other day about the C-section rate, how it's climbing in Canada. And there's someone who's a researcher at UBC, and she's talking about VBAC and how she's trying to get people to try to VBAC rather than do a repeat cesarean. And an OB came on, and she was like, oh, it's not realistic to have a lower cesarean rate because women are having babies at an older age. Like 50, what was it, like 50% of first time moms are over 35, or the age of 30 or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think it's
Really
something
high
like
number.
that.
And there's more account there's more cases of gestational diabetes and all this. I'm like, no, you're just blaming women again for being too old and too fat to give birth. You're not looking at what you're doing to contribute. You're not looking at, well, how are they testing for gestational diabetes now? Maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
something about the way that they're testing that's creating more positive um, more positive results. Or
Yeah, depending on where you are in the world, they actually have different baselines for where they say that you actually have gestational diabetes. It's not uniform.
and they're counting the BMI, which we know that calculation is so wrong. And and like when I was pregnant, I specifically asked my OB about nutrition because I figured there must be something I need to do differently, right? There's certain nutrients you need and stuff like that. And he just said, eat a balanced diet. How does that help me? And I just found out yesterday that preeclampsia can be prevented and even reversed with a high protein diet. And if I had
Really?
known that, I could have done that. I could have avoided all like the complications that I had at the end of my pregnancy and with my birth, because I also spent a lot of time in the hospital with postpartum preeclampsia, and they basically starved me.
Ugh.
So
They starved you postpartum too with that ridiculous egg.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like my like yeah, after she was born, I was given a boiled egg for my breakfast, and I was breastfeeding.
So stupid. I love how you took a picture and put it inside of the letter that you sent, though.
Yeah, I took a picture of that meal and I put it in the letter. It's like, see, here's evidence of why you need to change this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, if you personally need to write a complaint letter, if you want to come to us, you send me or Jenny a message, and Jenny and I will help you write that complaint letter. Jenny is like on fire with this. I'm good. Jenny's even better. So like us as a team, like we just nail it. And then of course we also have our people on the side, like we know Connie from the patient advocates, and we've been getting that information as well. So we're getting even more pieces every single week that we can continue to pass on that information, especially if you're in the BC Lower Mainland. We have so many resources out here just in the BC Lower Mainland.
Letter writing, that's kind of my next step right now, is if I can help moms write their complaint letters, I would love to help you with that if you're out there and you want help writing a letter.
Yeah, and one thing I say is like, why not the best? My dear friend James actually talks about this quite a bit. He's like, for a long time I didn't believe that I deserved the best, and then I was like, why not the best? Why don't I deserve it? So I'm asking you, it's like, if you can get that help, why not do it from somebody who actually knows what they're doing, who's gone through the process, who's gotten massive results? I mean, Jenni, you got your response back faster than I got mine. Like I was thinking, oh, she'll get a response in like a couple of weeks, and then you send me a message like, oh, I got my response now. I'm like, wait, what? So I mean, I would say Jenni's the best at this, and like we love to help. So just you send us a message either through the Facebook Messenger, or you can send an email to me at carly@empoweringmomsbirth.ca, and we can figure things out and get on a call together. Maybe even Jenni and I together can help you, and we can really get you where you need to be, because you deserve to have that little bit of justice by filing a complaint letter. Filing a complaint, it stays on their records. So if you don't complain about that obstetrician or that nurse or that midwife, and then nobody else does, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. We need to start holding them accountable. And Jenni and I are really holding this one particular person accountable. We've got plans. But Jenni, can you talk a little bit about visualization that we've also done? Because that's been really powerful, and it helped Rebecca, because she ended up having this amazing vaginal birth after 2 cesareans at home. And like we were basically on it with her, just being like, envision your baby. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because you've been doing a lot of work on that side too.
Sure. So at the end of June, I hired a mindset coach, which I never even crossed my radar before, but suddenly I was doing that. And I was learning about, I think a lot of people are familiar with the law of attraction. Basically, what you put out into the universe is what comes back to you. So things like Murphy's Law, like, oh, if you're late and you're like, oh, I'll never make it in time, guess what?
You're not going to hit every single traffic light.
You're not going to make it in time. So like you have to have a positive mindset basically to accomplish anything in life. But also when you have a positive mindset, the universe comes back and helps you with it too. Mm-hmm. That's why some people, it seems like things always come easy to them. And it's not because they're working really hard, it's because they have the right mindset and they're very consistent about that. So as an experiment, we started, well, one of the exercises that we've been doing is imagining the thing that you want as if you already have it, and acting like that person who already has that thing, really focusing on the feeling of how you will feel once you've already accomplished your goal. And then thinking about that puts that energy into the universe, and then the universe comes back and gives it to you. Mm-hmm. So thinking about how to apply that to birth, I was thinking, well, what if you are in early labor or prodromal labor, and your labor's not going, and you're really in your head, and you're scared, and you're focused on getting your labor started because, you know, the doctor's like, oh, we're going to give you Pitocin if you don't hurry up. Like, yeah, it's your fault. And then there's all this fear and negative energy in the room, and that's not conducive to a positive birth experience. So then I was thinking, what about if you close your eyes and just imagine your labor's already done? You've already done it. hard work is over, your baby is in your arms, the birth happened exactly how you wanted it to, and really focusing on that image and focusing on telling your story about your birth and saying, oh, this happened and this happened and it was amazing and it was perfect, and just having that calm, beautiful energy and putting that into the universe and having that coming back to you, because when you're scared, you're putting all this fear into the fear energy into the universe. And when you're scared of the cesarean section, guess what ends up happening? The universe is like, oh, you keep saying C-section. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, and it's there's even the scientific side too, and like the body, because when you're scared, you're tensing up. And as I've talked about, like your cervix is a sphincter. And what happens when you're like, say, trying to poop and you're freaking out and somebody comes into the room, like you can't do it, right? Well, it's the same thing. Like you're tensing up, contractions are going to hurt more because you're tensing up. You're tensing up, your cervix is going to close right back up. Your body is now saying, there's a tiger chasing us. It's not safe. We're in survival mode. Everything shuts down. And meanwhile, the system is going, what's going on? We're on a clock. This isn't working. So they're adding more fear. And the other one is like, if you're focusing on the negative, then all you're going to see is the negative. If you're focusing on the positive and that outcome that you want, you're seeing more opportunities. So it's not like all magic woo, 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 but there's also a scientific component to it. If you're like, I'm not like that. Like this works with everyone and everyone's mindset. You just really need to know that positive thinking, there is actual scientific evidence for this. People recover faster from injuries and illnesses when they have positive thinking as opposed to negative. Like it's just something that
this is stuff that Albert Einstein believed and talked about. And there's even a quote, I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but basically he said that he would he would keep imagination and give up intellect any day, because it's your imagination that enables you to visualize the things that you want and get them.
I think I've seen that quote. Actually, I think it's in Think and Grow Rich. I'm gonna have to go look through it again. I just bought that book. I was listening to it on Audible, but I'm not very auditory learning. I need to be able to see the words on the page. So I'm like, okay, I need to be able to actually buy this book so I can highlight and read it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and it's thinking that his all his buddies subscribe to also. So it's not just made up. It's a real thing, and we tried it.
Yeah, it did.
And it worked. And now I'm going into like the mom groups, and the moms are like freaking out because they're going into labor, and all these people are like scaring them. And I keep just saying, just close your eyes and relax. Your labor's not going to progress if you're scared. So just relax and imagine that baby already in your arms. Imagine that birth happening like as if it's already happened the way that you want it.
Jenny, I got a question for you. Okay, that mom who was thinking that she had to have her waters break and everything, did you tell her that?
I commented a lot on that post. I don't remember exactly what I said.
She had her baby.
She
had her baby
at home. Labor on her own, and her baby came out at home in the pool. And like, I'm just so happy for her.
Oh, me too. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, thank God.
And like she was thinking that she wasn't even in labor. She wanted to be induced because she had health concerns, and
yeah, she wanted to have her waters broken because they told her she needed to induce, but she also did not want to birth in the hospital. So when she says like, I need to have my waters broken and then labor at home, like, okay. And I had to explain to her that when you induce, that's not a physiological birth anymore. And then yes, more interventions are likely to happen because you've now messed with the process, and that if she wants that, if she truly wants that, then that's where she needs to be, is at the hospital, because now we've got a problem. There could be a prolapse. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen when you break your waters when they haven't released on their own.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like,
she put that energy into
yeah.
the universe, said this baby has to come right now, and baby did.
Yeah.
Like that same day, like she wasn't even in labor at all. As soon as she went home, that's when it happened.
Well, because once she got that information, she's like, you know what? I think I'm going to wait, and I'm going to have my baby come on my own now that I know this.
Yeah.
If I had never seen that post and hadn't posted that, like, I don't know, like, she wouldn't have had that information, and you wouldn't have said anything, because usually what happens is that it says Jenni has commented on this or Carly has commented on this, so we end up on the same post commenting. Yeah. And I think I did see you say, just visualize your baby. When she said, I think I'm going to wait, you said, just visualize your baby already in your arms. And I mean, she's done it. She got it. And I mean, it took us, what, 2 seconds?
Yeah.
So this stuff is really powerful. So if you're starting to think, it's like, you know, like, this is all really awesome, and how do I get this information? How do I continue to work? Well, as I said, like, Jenni and I, we work fast. So it doesn't take much. You just book a call with me. I'll find out where you're stuck. I'll help you. And if you want to continue working with me, great. And if you don't, that's fine too. We just want to get this information out there. Jenni said it herself, Carly, how do I pay you? And I'm like, I just want to help you.
And like, you can always post in the group, and we will be there.
Yes,
100%.
Always. Yeah, we are always here for you. So don't be shy, okay? You can send your comments, you can send your messages, you can send your emails. We're never too busy for you. We will help you. We're not going to sell you into something that you don't feel comfortable with. You are the decision maker. And don't let this be the best kept secret either, because we want this information out there. I would love it if the next time I'm in the mom groups, I see some of you actually posting the link to our workshops and saying, come check out this Facebook group, come check out these videos, and start sharing this stuff. Because as I said, this mom who thought that she had to have her waters broken because she wasn't going into labor, and she was like, she could have had a C-section, and she could have thought that her body was broken, and she was really scared. And because Jenni and I happened to see it, we were able to get that right education to her and give her the right support very quickly, and she was able to have that. And we've had that success even in our group. There's been moms who've had babies on the side of the road. And Rebecca, who you're going to hear from on Tuesday, she has this amazing story. But Lisa also, she had this, like, she wanted to have a vaginal birth after 2 previous C-sections. She had planned it all. She didn't have the right support in her family and her partner, which ultimately that was what fell apart. But even after that, like, Jenni and I have loved on her, and she's going for her master's degree. So, I mean, anything is possible when you have that take charge of birth mindset, and you really excel inside of the Take Charge of Birth program, and just getting that right support is crucial. These 5 pillars of empowerment work so well that I have now applied it to every aspect of my life.
And I have to.
Yes, and Jenni has too. So Jenni, you're also looking at birth centers, and you're looking at reverse engineering your life in the next few years and creating this dream mansion. And like, things are just opening up for you. You have this amazing decorating business. And I went into my emails, and I saw that you had also, I think you put a picture of that couch that I wanted, that I ultimately didn't get and got a different one, but you put it in my living room. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're right, that one would not have fit, but I've got this one, and this one is perfect for what I've got.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of manifesting lately.
Yes.
Yeah, and we
manifesting and planning and brainstorming, and like Jenni, you're just killing it. And like for someone who has like an almost 15-month-old, like you are so well rested and so happy and so like I'm a little jealous here.
Loving my life.
Loving your life and empowering moms and just doing your thing and like I couldn't ask for a better friend. Although next time tell me when you're sending me something in the mail because I really
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Well, it was a surprise. I open up all of my mail. I've been ordering my stuff through Amazon and through other online stuff. I bought a whole bunch of clothes. I bought the kids' Christmas presents. And then all of a sudden, like my dad brings them over because I used my dad's mailing address. And he's like, here, I've got all these parcels for you. I'm like, okay, cool. There's my book. And there's one of the kids' presents. And there's another one of the kids' presents. And I get this other package. I'm like, Indigo? I don't remember buying something from Indigo. Did I buy something from Indigo? No, I don't think I bought myself books this time. No, I bought the Kindle stuff off of Amazon, so I didn't. Maybe it's a birthday present. So then I opened it up and it's like it says happy birthday, Carly. And no name. I'm like, okay, who has my dad's mailing address? Was it my nana? Was it my mom? Was it my friend in California? Like, who sent this to me? And Jenny, it took me a while. And I'm like, wait a minute. Jenny asked for my address.
It was supposed to arrive tomorrow.
Well, it arrived early. So she sent me the box set of The Handmaid's Tale and the Testaments because when the house fire hit, I had a new copy of the Testaments and it burned up, like it was just to a crisp. And then I'm like, oh wait, I mentioned to Jenny about my book burning. And then now she asked for my address. So I sent her a message. I'm like, Jenny, did you send me this? I'm trying to solve a mystery.
Yeah, you said you didn't get to read it because it got burned.
You're just the best. You really are. Like, you're the best friend ever. I mean, I'm really sad that you had like that experience with Abbotsford because like it sucks. But at the same time, I'm really glad we connected.
Yeah, it's funny because like what happened to me was so horrible, but so many really amazing things came out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I wouldn't go back.
No.
Because
you learned some lessons that they're just going to serve you into the future.
Yeah, well, like now one of my primary missions is to prevent this from happening to somebody else. And so I'm very open and candid about my experience and about my birth trauma now because I just know that if people don't talk about it, no one's going to know about it. I didn't know about it, and it's happening to 1 in 3 women every year.
Yeah.
Right? And it happens sometimes multiple times to the same woman. So, I mean, if we don't know about it, if we don't talk about it, we can't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a huge advocate for being open and it is hard because it can be triggering, but it's really important. It's really important.
Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, I didn't even have as traumatic an experience as you. And then at the same time, it's like looking at what happened with Hunter. It's like, I'm actually kind of glad because it got me good and mad. It got me becoming an advocate. It got me learning about this stuff. And like, I wouldn't be here helping you and helping everybody else if I'd just been able to just be at home and have my home birth. I might have been one of those moms that said, I don't understand, birth works. But instead, it's like, I get it. It's like physiological birth. Yes, it does work. And the system that we're in and the ideas and the culture and everything that we've been taught is not supporting our birth physiology. Like we lost so much when we started, when the patriarchy basically took over. Like we lost that wisdom.
Yeah, and the thing too is that society subscribes to it. So society supports the current medical method and perpetuates it. And then like the medical system is like, what are you talking about? There's nothing wrong. Everyone thinks we're great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of people who didn't have a bad experience or, never had a baby.
Yeah. And then there's the moms of us who have had those bad experiences, and we say we're never going back into the hospital. Like, we're going to have a home birth at all costs. And we're branded as the crazy ones.
Yeah.
And that's not fair, because we're the ones that have actually realized that, this is not a safe environment for me. I'm not going to go back in there and be re-traumatized.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Like, how many times are women told, oh, like, just your birth plan, it's going to go out the window, or just take the epidural, the technology is there, you might as well use it, don't be a hero. And like, even I was told, like, I wasn't taking I didn't have proper pain medication after my surgery because I was worried I would have an allergic reaction to it, because of what my option was, basically one option. And I was told not to be a hero, to take my pain medication. I'm like, I might be allergic to it. Like, I'm not, like, I'm asking you for help here. I'm not intentionally not taking my pain medication.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you
Like,
now
they need to
dismissing
offer
me?
an alternative there.
Yeah.
And there was no alternative. Like, they're like, well, I don't carry it with me. It's like, you can write a prescription.
Yeah. No, it was one of the nurses, when I went back to the hospital, told me not to be a hero. And I'm like, I'm asking you for help. Like, I'm not trying to
Yeah. Well,
I'm
you
not trying
know
to
how I
recover
feel
from a
about that
surgery
hospital.
without pain medication.
Yeah.
But,
Well, thank you so much, Jenni. I always appreciate having you in here for the interviews, because like, your story is just so compelling, first of all. And from where you were to where you are now, and like, you are like on the inside here as my admin. Like, we've built this together, and I just took everything that you wanted to learn as a new mom, because I haven't had babies for years. Like, Michaela's 5 now. But to really get that fresh perspective and be like, oh, right, yeah, that's important. Because sometimes, like, we'll be talking and you'll say, hey, did you know this? And I'll be like, yeah, keep digging. Keep digging. This is not new to me. This is actually very old, and like, you want to keep going down the rabbit hole. Here's this. And you're like, but I mean, Carly, like, this is new to me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thank you for reminding me that the stuff that I know is actually like it's my
it's not
INFJ.
common knowledge. Yeah.
It's my INFJ. I'm inferior. I don't know very much, and then all of a sudden Jenni reminds me how much I know.
But I've noticed, like, in society, there's a lot of things changing right now. There's a lot of really important books coming
Yes.
out right now. There's some amazing podcasts out there that I've been listening to. And like, I feel the mood, like, we're making it happen, and there's a whole group of people out there who are making it happen, and this is it's already done.
Oh, totally. I've connected with so many of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I sit there and I'm like, hey, you're doing what I like to do. Hey, we should talk. I mean, that's how I got Dawn Thompson and Kristen Pascucci. I mean, it was just Dawn Thompson, Kristen Pascucci, and Rebecca Decker started it. And then all of us birth workers, we found them and then started to speak up our voices. And then same with Kylie, the autonomy mommy. And I think Birth Uprising, and like, I follow so many on Instagram. So if you're on my Instagram, you can also check to see who I'm following, and then that will give you even more. But that's how it all starts, is that one person speaks up, more people join them, and then like, the patriarchy's worst choice was creating the internet.
And after my negative birth experience, so many people came to me and said, me too,
Yeah.
that happened to me too.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you talking about it?
Because we've been taught not to. We've been taught a healthy baby is all that matters and to get over it.
Let's talk about it now.
Well, we are. Kristen Pascucci started that back in, I think it was 2014 with the Break the Silence project, and they did that through Improving Birth. So if you go to improvingbirth.org and look up Break the Silence, you may actually find those old campaigns where they had moms holding up signs and saying what happened to them. And we also had one on what respectful care looks like. But the idea was that Kristen Pascucci has an obstetric violence map. And if you've had an experience and you want to report it, even anonymously, you can go to that part of the site and you can talk about what happened to you. And then she'll put that on the map so that others are aware of what's going on in that area. And she also does her podcast too, Birth Aloud Radio, where she talks more about this. So, I mean, she really inspired me, and so did Dawn Thompson. And I mean, when I got on that interview, actually before I got on that interview with her in the summer, like I was like, Dawn, like you really inspired me. You and Kristen and Rebecca both really inspired me to do something. And she's like, well, like, I'm really proud of you. And that was really nice to hear because it was Dawn freaking Thompson. I mean, she has the t-shirts. She has all that stuff and like we're thinking about it, but she's already done it. And I mean, I also sent an email to Rebecca last year, Rebecca Decker, and I said, hey, I'm writing a book too, and I really enjoyed your book. And I got on a call with Kristen Pascucci back in 2015. So, I mean, I forget that this was so small before, because now it seems like a lot of us birth workers, we all talk about this stuff, we all share this stuff, but we're really preaching to the choir because the moms aren't seeing it.
Yeah.
Maybe a few are, because we see it in the mom groups. Like some people will say the same things that we're saying. And then there's a lot. Somebody actually told me the other day when I commented on a post about induction, like this mom's like, hey, I just found out I can have my baby early. And I'm like, are you aware that induction increases your chances of cesarean and is more painful? Is that a true statement? It's a true statement.
Yeah, and it's not just an increased risk. It's like 50% risk.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually triple that. It's like 3 times as likely if you also have a low Bishop score and are a first-time mom. But the idea was I then got a message, like a little reply to my comment that said, that's actually false information. And I'm like, I'm a childbirth educator, a doula. I've been doing this for the last 8 years. I've been talking to moms
and we
about
can
their
show
trauma.
you the statistics.
I have all the statistics. I mean, there's a whole side to me that like not everybody sees, which is my intellectual side. We did do a class on that because it was just me and Jenni that day, and Jenni really wanted to know the stats. And Jenni, that was you were like, whoa.
It really took a few tries for me to wrap my mind around it, and then once I understood it, like it opened up a lot.
So have you been playing with the numbers then?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, but I mean, I was told it wasn't true. I'm like, what do you mean it's not true?
Stop spreading the lies.
It's like, yes, actually it is. Here's a link to Midwife Thinking where she talks about this and she has the breakdown, but a lot of the stuff that like we read as birth workers is very technical. So what I do is I take that and I teach it in a way that you can actually understand, because otherwise you're sitting there, and I mean, Jenni, like you said, it took a long time for you to wrap your head around those numbers, because I'm like, you really want to go into the stats? Okay.
Well, the language that they use is very medical, and if you don't know what nulliparous is, then it's really difficult.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing inside of our program is that I teach you that language so then you can actually go in and you can look at those medical journals yourself, because I don't want to just give you information inside the program. I teach you how to learn that information yourself. so that you can be like Jenni and be like, okay, I now know how to crunch these numbers. So now I'm going to go over here and apply that to this. And like you just found out a whole bunch of information about how to reverse preeclampsia. That's
Yeah.
pretty damn powerful.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't tell you to go do that. You went and did that because you felt so empowered to do that, and you knew you had the confidence to look for that information and know what to look for.
Yeah.
So that you can sort out the good information from the bad information. You
Yeah.
probably know more about your conditions now than your care providers.
Maybe, yeah. It's possible.
Well, I'm so proud of you, Jenni, but I do have to go because I'm getting my hair done today. I have to hop on the bus and then head to the mall, and I'm gonna actually get my hair done without children around. So excited.
I have to go too because the baby woke up.
Okay, you give little Miss Annika hugs and kisses for me, and I will see you later in the week, okay?
Yeah.
Love you.
Bye.
We are now wrapping up with the Empowered Birth Workshop. We have 2 sessions left. If you have any questions or any requests, you can put a message into the chat and say, hey, I'd like to learn about this, and maybe I can do something with that. As I said, I'm here to support you. So if you ever need any support, you send a message to me or you send me an email at carly@empoweringmomsbirth.ca, and I will help you. I absolutely will, because this is something that lights me up. This is something that is my passion. My passion is to help you because nobody helped me or Jenni, and nobody helped Rebecca, and nobody helped Lisa. We had to learn the hard way. I don't want you to have to learn the hard way. If you've already had one traumatic birth, you don't have to have another one. You deserve to rewrite your story so that you can be like, you know, this thing happened to me in my first birth and it really sucked. Or this thing happened to me in my last 2 births and it really sucked. But this time I've learned, and this time it's different, and this time it was amazing. And now I can go on to just have this empowered motherhood journey, and I can go on and teach this stuff to others so that we can change the way that mainstream culture is talking about birth. So then we don't have that fear, that anxiety, that overwhelm. We don't have care providers who are saying you're not allowed. We have a more integrated system in which you can get the medical care that you do need, but physiological birth will be supported. And then there will be less likely that you'll get traumatized or your future generations will get traumatized. So I really do want you to invite you to book a call with me, and we will figure this out together because I am here to love and support you. All right, I will see you tomorrow.